You're welcome back from the break. So tonight we look at whether Ghana can actually sail through the IMF program. And there's been some sort of statistics and some sort of graphics and a statement released by the Ministry of Finance today. I'm going to be talking about the AFDB, but for now, let me project to you the statement which was released by the Minister of Finance today. Right, so we're actually going to put to you the statement. Well, that's it. And the statement said, following the successful settlement and conclusion of Ghana's domestic debt exchange program, DDEP, the government announces the following developments. First of all, the newly issued bonds have been settled and listed and will become the new benchmark bonds for the fixed income market. We'll get into the details of this, probably not immediately, but eventually we will look at how this will be for the common person and people who have invested their monies into the Ghanaian financial market. So this goes on to say the Ministry of Finance will work with the relevant stakeholders as agreed to ensure that these new benchmark securities become the basis for deepening the domestic sovereign bond market. Secondly, in fulfillment of the assurance given by government to bond holders who did not tender, the ministry is taking administrative steps to ensure payment of coupons and principals of the old bonds reused by 13th of March 2023. I actually want to be able to move to the third point. And, thirdly, on Friday, the 24th of February, 2023, S&P Global Ratings raised Ghana's local currency sovereign credit ratings from selective default, SD, to CCC+/C. This acknowledges the competition of the DDEP with a successful delivery of the securities to bondholders. In doing so, the selective default is substantially cured. The above stated milestone is further expected to accelerate the engagement without external or with, external creditors. The government of Ghana also takes this opportunity to assure its external creditors of their equal importance to the Republic of Ghana. We will therefore continue to work together to advance the progress of our external debt treatment in order to ensure Ghana's long-term macroeconomic stability. Now, this is a statement which was released by the Ministry of Finance just today, some few hours ago, about the success rate attained by the ministry and, of course, the economic management team of the country towards securing the IMF deal. There are doubts, actually, whether by the end of March we will actually be able to secure the program and get the funds we are looking for from the Ministry of Finance. We'll get into this later on, but for now, we are here to talk about affirmative action or finance action for women in Africa. We call it a finance series. It is beginning tomorrow, the 28th day of February to the 2nd of March, 2023 at Kempiski Hotel in Accra. I have a special guest here tonight, and I want to be asking her what this program is about, who can participate, who is eligible for their program, and so on and so forth, what state institutions they are partnering with. I want to be able to make sure that I get the name right. ESTHER Dassanou is the manager for affirmative finance action for women in Africa. I got the name right? Right, so good evening and thank you very much. We can now box on. So Dassanou is the name. AFAWA, what is AFAWA?
So AFAWA stands, as you said it, for the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa. It's a Pan-African initiative of the African Development Bank to close the $42 billion gap that exists for women SMEs on the continent, and therefore Ghana.
42 billion.
42 billion. And we're talking about formally registered SMEs. So we're not even talking about the informal sector here. If we were to add the informal sector, the gap would be even wider.
And which sectors are you talking about? If you talk about the informal sector, are you referring primarily to agricultural sector or trade or
All sectors.
exactly?
For AFAWA, we're actually sector agnostic, which means that we focus on all sectors, be it agriculture, being trade, being manufacturing. Wherever it is that women-owned SMEs are operating, have the opportunity to scale up significantly, but are having challenges doing it because while they're formally registered, they're not able to access the financing that they need, nor the skills that they need in order to enable them to grow. And so with that, we basically, through the initiative, provide solutions that enables them to do so, working closely or in close collaboration with financial institutions.
I am in support of women all the time, but I'm tempted to ask, why women? Why the focus on women?
For so many reasons. So first of all, the basic reason is the fact that they represent 50% of our population. If
The other 50% is men.
Exactly.
And so
But
there is some kind of a balance. And so you should concentrate on both.
So actually, if you think about it, who has had access to the market for the longest time? It's been men. Women have been left on the side for a lot of different reasons that we're not going to get into. However, if we're wanting our economies to develop and grow, we cannot do so just basing ourselves on 50% of the market only. We have to include the whole 100%. So the point of the initiative is to bring that 50% that has been left on the side, that has this capacity and also with the knowledge and the skills, can grow businesses that are equally as successful and profitable as the rest of the market. So that's why women. So that's the first point. The second point also is the fact that financial institutions over and over again have shown that women actually have a very strong quality portfolio. They're better payers than, we won't say men, but other segments in the market. And so the question is, why not?
So, I asked because if you look at the kind of SMEs that need support. All SMEs talk about the big problems they face in our part of the world in Africa. And the most important of them all is access to funds.
Yes.
Financing, getting capital and expanding their businesses. And then you come to access to the market. And fortunately for us, we have AFTA here being hosted by a dear country, Ghana. And all of these issues that come up. But the first point is to have access to funds.
Exactly.
And so that's why I ask why the focus on women alone, because there are a lot more men who are also still going through the same challenge.
But I think for men, it's a lot easier path. It's a more easier path, if I could say it that way.
In Africa, we don't get it.
Let me say it this way. When you have two SMEs that are put men and women, the woman or the women will have issues that men will have an easier way into solving, i.e. the issue of collateral, for example. Women can't access land. Men can, right? So if the most thought type of guarantee that financial institutions are going to look for is collateral in order to give the loan, automatically the women will be shunned. The men will have an easier access. Same with skills, same with markets, right? Most of the deals very often are actually signed, or if you will, negotiated on side conversations. They happen in bars, they happen after work networking sessions, and so on and so forth. At that moment, where are women? They're at home. You see what I mean? So if you will, the access is uneven. While the challenges are there for all, the ability to access is uneven for women-owned SMEs, hence the need to focus a bit more on the women's segment in order to give them their fair access to financing, to skills, and to markets.
Let me ask, what exact nature is it going to take? Is it just that you are going to fund people who need funds, or you're going to just train them, or you're going to have a monitoring system, or you're going to have an entire value chain process or structure to support people grow their businesses? What nature is it going to take?
So it's the entire value chain that we're looking at. AFAWA focuses on 3 pillars. The first one is access to financing. So ensuring that the financing mechanisms are there in order for financial institutions to be able to unlend to women. These are lines of credit. It can be trade finance in order to enable them to trade more. And it's also guarantees in order to address this collateral challenge that they have. The second component or the second pillar is the technical assistance or the access to skills. And here, it's really about not only enhancing the business managerial skills, the financial management that women SMEs need, but it's also working with financial institutions to enhance their capacity and understanding of the women's market in order to enable them basically to accompany the women entrepreneurs better in their growth. So sometimes it might mean credit, but other times it might not mean credit. It might just mean, managing your finances better, managing your inventory better in order for you to be more profitable. And then the third pillar is on the policy side, right? And so here it's about working with the policymakers, so the central bank, as well as the ministries of finance, planning, trade, and SMEs, in order to ensure that the policies that are in place are not actually an impediment to women being able to grow. And if the policies that are in place are, it's about working with them in order to make sure that the reforms are there and implemented so that, there is better collaboration among all stakeholders.
I hope you do reckon the challenge of formalization of businesses in our parts of the world. You mentioned a collateral challenge for them to be able to overcome. Lots of SMEs in the agricultural sector where you'd have a lot of people in trade, where you also have a lot of people don't formalize their businesses, especially with taxes, with the Ghana Revenue Authority, with registration, and so on and so forth. But these are people who ordinarily would want to have access to your funds and be able to structure their businesses well. Have you taken notice of them, and do you have any package for them at all?
So we've taken notice. However, I think it's important to understand that the African Development Bank is here first and foremost to ensure that the market grows and that the market grows in a viable manner. So we're not here to distort. Ideally, what we're looking for is as many SMEs as possible to formalize themselves. Why? Because there are so many, if you will, aspects that are linked to access to finance and to formalization. Formalization means traceability. That's the first thing. You cannot access finance if we can't trace you.
Right.
You see what I mean? So therefore, for us, the goal is to work with those that are in the informal sector to train them, to get them to also understand why it is important to become formal, how being formal enables you to grow over, a certain period of time. And then with that, together with the government, basically get them on a phased approach so that they can, one, formalize. Second, of course, get on a taxation system that works for the kind of SMEs that they are. And then eventually, through the process of that, also access financing.
So one thing I'm particular about, I'll come to the program itself very soon. And because of time, we'll be able to run away from here. But one of the biggest motivation for the growth of business, and in your field especially, and for even the women, is off-taking. If they grow, if they expand, for example, for the people in agric, if they're able to produce and they don't get buyers, they become demotivated. They don't have any motivation to continue production. And the funds that they get from you, of course, will come to a naught. I didn't hear anything about that in your 3 pillars.
Exactly. So the pillar, well, if you will, the challenge that the African Development Bank through AFAWA has decided to focus on is the access to finance component. However, we're well aware also of the opportunities to basically access markets, which is why we partner basically with other institutions that have the capacity to address that challenge. We're also very much engaged on the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement, which is also supposed to open up new opportunities for women to be able to access markets. The other point also that we're starting to get engaged into is everything that has to do with affirmative procurement. So working with the likes of government bodies as well as private sector institutions that can actually procure their products and services for women-owned SMEs, and that also is an opportunity for, if you will, more access and growth.
Let me come to the program itself tomorrow. It's beginning tomorrow, right?
It is.
So tomorrow, the 28th day of February to 2nd of March. What's really happening from tomorrow to 2nd of March?
So basically, we're, if you will, inviting all financial institutions, women-owned SMEs, of course, as well as government stakeholders tomorrow for the very first of our finance series in the West Africa region, so taking place here in Accra, Ghana. And the goal is to really, explain the hows of the AFAWA initiative, and then also get all stakeholders to understand what are the ways to access, right? So our entry points, of course, are financial institutions, but all stakeholders in this initiative have a role to play. The second day and the third, so which are the first and the second, we will spend time with financial institutions specifically on enhancing their understanding of the women's market, on how to create programs, sustainable programs and profitable programs to accompany women-owned SMEs of all sizes and of all, if you will, issues and challenges in order to enable them to grow.
I don't know if I should ask this, but lots of the people that you're going to deal with are, for want of better words, low people who haven't expanded. I mean, they are not big institutions and so on and so forth. So why do you choose Kempinski?
So we need to be able to address the needs of everyone, right? We need to also be able to put everyone in an environment that is conducive to discussion. So that's the first reason. The second one, also, I would say we're not talking to low people, right? For me, women SMEs of any kind are not low people. A woman who has a capacity to grow the kind of businesses that we're talking about is someone that has the ability to really make things move and shake in our market. So they're definitely not low people, and they deserve the best quality that we can give them.
Men are not allowed to come in tomorrow?
They are absolutely allowed to come in. We can't have this conversation alone, right? At the end of the day, in order for space to be made, men and women have to be at the table. They have to understand each other. And as a matter of fact, if you think about it, very often bankers are men. Right? So in order to understand, they need to come to the table so that we can conversate.
Right. So what time is it starting tomorrow?
So tomorrow we start at 9 o'clock at the Kempinski, and we'll be there pretty much the whole day until 5.
And then the same program continues?
And then the same program continues on Wednesday and Thursday, and specifically for financial institutions.
Right. So we are invited as well, journalists. We will come and learn.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome. We actually plan on using you to spread the word. So the more you know, the better it is.
All right. So we'll be there tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more women. Everybody is allowed to come in? Or you need to do some registration before?
Well, you must have registered in order to come in.
What's the website? What's the portal that we need to register?
We can definitely share that. But yeah. You have to have registered. Those who have gotten the link know where to be and at what time.
All right. So I'll look for the link and put it on screen so that if you haven't registered, maybe you would want to register. Are people able to follow online tomorrow?
I don't believe we have the ability to follow online, but this is why we came all the way to Ghana. We wanted to have a face-to-face conversation.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Excellent.
We'll be there tomorrow. So ESTHER DASSANOU is the manager of affirmative finance action for women in Africa, AFAWA. And she is at Kempinski tomorrow. You want to meet her. You want to join the program tomorrow. It's for women, access to finance and training and so on and so forth. For women, I would say entrepreneurs or women in SME who are seeking to develop and expand their businesses.